Koita, good to have you in the studio this morning, Mustafa.
Thanks. That was the coolest introduction ever, by the way.
I thought you were going to do the Benny Hill, the fastest milkman in the West song.
There were so many options. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Mustafa Koita, you are the founder and CEO of not just Koita Milk, but Koita Foods. Before we delve into your success story, give us the 30-second elevator pitch. How do you describe Koita Foods?
Great. So Koita is a company that helps families eat healthier. We focus on organic dairy, lactose-free dairy, and plant-based milks. We started just in Dubai as a homegrown company, and we're now in 11 countries around the world, including the United States.
Okay. And you make most of your stuff not here in the UAE, but in Italy. Is that right?
Everything is produced in the north of Italy.
So let's talk about how you got there, because you didn't come from the food industry, did you?
No, I didn't. I came from quite the opposite. I was in the defense business before this.
So tell us what you were doing before this.
So I used
as much as you can, because it's defense, so you've got to be a bit secret squirrel.
No, I won't be too secret squirrel, but I used to work for Boeing on the defense side. It was a wonderful job. I was working with a lot of the leadership around the region. And, you know, I made a lot of money. I met a lot of people. I learned about the region. But I think at some point in my life, sort of around my midlife crisis, that entrepreneurial bug came out, and I wanted to get into something I was super passionate about, which was healthy eating.
So what age were you when you quit your job and set up Koita? Or was there a bit of overlap?
Just before my midlife crisis. So I'd say around 38, 39 is when I got that bug.
I've had 3 midlife crises. I recommend them thoroughly to everyone.
They're great, aren't they?
And how was the conversation with your nearest and dearest? You've got this successful career that you spent 15 years building, earning good money, and you just chuck it all in.
Yeah, you know, and just as Neil was saying, it was a great job. I met so many people. I was making a lot of money. It was cush, you know. But I think that I was getting a bit complacent at work. You know, I wasn't really, and I was also going against the grain, and I didn't like political correctness and corporate, you know, political correctness. And I was always an outside of the box kind of person. And I think when that happened, I just realized that for me to be happy, I needed to be in a different environment. It was a tough jump, actually, leaving a steady paycheck and going into the world of entrepreneurship.
I've got to say, great entrepreneurs hail from Boeing, because my co-founder spent 10 years at Boeing.
Oh, really?
So I think it really does, if you like to be outside of the box.
It makes you hate corporate America so much that you go the other way. No, but my experience at Boeing was fantastic and really paved the way for a good entrepreneurship story.
So you've got to get funding for something like this. It's not just setting up a consultancy where you need a laptop and a phone. You needed funding. Where did that come from?
Yeah, so my funding actually came from my own pocket. We're 100% self-funded. We've never given up equity. We have 0 debt on the books to date. My funding was my life savings. And so at Boeing, I was grateful that I made some money there. And with probably a few $100,000, I poured that into the company, built up the branding, did a lot of travel to find, you know, the best farms in the world. And basically I bootstrapped the company till where we are today.
Okay. And what year was that?
That was 2014.
2014.
Yeah.
So 8 years ago.
About 8 years ago.
And when did you break even or start making money?
Around year 2 is when I broke even. And what I did is I reverse engineered my business plan around how much cash flow I had. And I think that was one of the secrets for us keeping it whole. And, you know, I didn't grow too fast. You know, I grew slow and steady. I took baby steps. And I think that was advantageous to us because when you grow fast, sometimes growth isn't good unless you can manage it right. You know, so we're able to make less expensive mistakes as we scale the company.
How did you manage to build what is now quite a strong brand? Neil was saying, you know, this morning, you have a number of the plant-based milks in your fridge at home, don't you?
Yeah, they sprung up on me because I am a Philistine and a carnivore and all of that sort of thing, and I run away from vegetables. And yeah, but you sort of snuck it by me, and before I knew it, it was in my coffee.
My kids love the stuff as well and love it in their lunch boxes, which is great, but not easy because it's not a cheap product. You're as a parent, I know you're not the cheapest product on the shelves.
You're right
by some distance. So how do you?
So interestingly enough, as a parent, you know, of 3 kids, we decided that we wanted to start a company that had the best organic milk, not the cheapest organic milk. So, the strategy ended up working because, you always want the best for your kids. So we had the highest fat content. We went to Italy where we had the most premium milk. We had Italian oats, Italian almonds. The packaging was recycled. We didn't go for cheap plastic straws because it was bad for the environment, but more expensive. So we ended up going premium and more value for the customer. And that ended up being a good business strategy as well.
We were chatting earlier on about micromanagers versus macro managers, or even Elon Musk being what he calls himself, a nano manager. Where on the spectrum are you?
Look, I think it depends on where the employee is with their life cycle in the organization, but usually we're close to newer employees. And as they come into the organization, it's more of a hands-off approach. But I think the real philosophy is that, and Neil, as an entrepreneur, maybe you relate to this, but I feel like I work for my employees, right? Because if they're not happy, if they're not making money, if they're not learning or moving up in the world, they're just not going to stick around. It's a very competitive marketplace right now. And we've got some extremely talented people in the company. And honestly, every day I ask myself, my KPI isn't just quantitative. It's how do I make sure they're happy? How do I make sure they're happy? And that's a hard thing to do as an owner, but it's work because we've had a very good retention within the company.
So give us a sense of the scale of the business now. You're a private company, so you don't have to give us your financial results, much as I'd love it if you did.
Yeah.
But in terms of a staff size, market penetration.
So in 2014, we were 1 employee. We're now 31 employees. In 2013, I had a 200 square foot office, probably smaller than this Dubai Eye, room right now. We now have about 2,000 square foot with a back office in the Philippines and people in 3 home offices. We were in 1 country, or really 1 city. We're now in 11 plus the United States. In 2014, I used to have hair. Now I have no hair whatsoever.
Nothing to do with the milk.
No, nothing to do with the milk. I think it has to do that we never raised capital. We bootstrapped this thing. And, we had cash flow issues just like everybody. And I think just managing the cash carefully, being frugal, being smart, hustling, and being passionate helped us kind of scale the company. So that gives you an idea of where we are. We do in the UAE, which is about less than half my business, we do anywhere between 250 to 500,000 liters a month.
Mustafa, a lot of people travel abroad, see an amazing food product and think, hey, I'm going to bring that back here. And they don't realize the complexities behind making that possible. Can you take us through a little bit about how you interacted with the government authorities in order to get permission to do all of this sort of thing? So someone out there who wants to bring an amazing new product, they can actually make it happen.
Yeah, Neil, that's a great question. Look, we work very closely with Dubai Municipality Food Control. And I have to tell you a story. When we started the company, we started in the dairy space. So that's one of the ways we snuck into your fridge is we started with organic dairy, then lactose-free, and then the plant. And the buyer just, evolved with us. But in working with Dubai Municipality, I remember when we were designing our labels and trying to make sure the product was meeting all the proper regulatory standards, we looked on the website, we pulled the documents, but we had a lot of questions, and they had an open door policy. So if I was in the US right now and I asked for the FDA to give me a meeting to talk to them about importing milk, good luck, Yeah. But I literally went to Dubai in the Dira area, had met the head of Dubai Food Control. She had an open door policy. She sat with me, went through the labels, all the regulatory stuff, walked through everything. It was amazing. I mean, it was very entrepreneurial. And I think Dubai Municipality Food Control has set an open door policy and a very approachable standard that's made it easy for entrepreneurs to flourish in this kind of country.
So I think a lot of people get intimidated by it being a lot more difficult than they realize. So it's always just ask, find out, try and reach out to someone that has done it before, and then go and make it happen.
Yeah.
We got a question in from Ella talking about your packaging, which you mentioned earlier. She's asking, are these, she described them as Tetra Pak style boxes.
Yeah.
Are they recyclable?
Yes, they're all fully recyclable. Another thing I'm very proud to say is we're probably the first company in the region that had a no plastic straws policy. So all of our 200 ml kids are fully recyclable, and we have no plastic straws, which are known to really pollute the ocean and whatnot. It's not resealable, so sometimes you can waste milk. Ours are resealable. So my answer is absolutely.
So what's next for this organization?
There's a lot going on right now. I think there's internal and external, right? The external is in terms of new products. We're investing heavily in new product development on the plant-based milks. So one thing I'm very proud to announce is that we're now launching, and this is the first time we've told anybody, a new barista line of plant-based milks. So that includes, for example, an organic oat barista that has only 3 ingredients. It has some of the least ingredients for a plant-based oat barista in the region. It's made of Italian spring water, Italian organic oats, and organic sunflower oil. It's fantastic. Our almond or coconut, everything is optimized for frothing. So we're going to hit all the baristas in the coffee shops and the home baristas with this type of product range. So I'd say that's new. And really just an emphasis on plant-based and lactose-free tend to be like where we're growing.
Mustafa, great talking to you. Appreciate your time this morning. Thank you for being our startup success story today.
Thank you very much.
Mustafa Koita is the founder and CEO of Koita Foods.